Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Lauren and welcome to day 4 of BOOKMAS. Okay, today we're talking about the 5-star predictions that I made last year that I read obviously this year. So if you want to see my prediction video from last year, I'll link it up here and down here. This is seeing whether or not these books were actually 5 stars or not. So I have 3 of them in my possession. The rest of them I do not own because I'm such a Kindle reader. Don't hate me, I'm sorry. But let's go through them. I've got my list on my phone and my reviews because obviously I've read them throughout the year and I've got to remember exactly what I sort of said. There was 10 of them. I read 8 of them. 1 of that 8 was a DNF. 1 I didn't get to, and the other one I've had to take off my review because the author is supporting Israel. So you will never see my review for that book until that author supports Palestine. So anyway, getting into it. The first one we're talking about is The Fake Out by Stephanie Archer. Now, this was an immediate 5 stars. I loved this book. It was a fake dating romance. For me, a fake dating romance will always get a 5 star. Well, not always, but almost always. And a lot of the ones on my list actually were fake dating romances, so that tells you everything. I adore the romance between Rory and Hazel. To me, Rory embodied 2 of my favorite MMCs from last year, and that was Ryan Shea and Halsey Holmes. He was just this golden retriever that was obsessed with giving Hazel gifts. I loved it. And I loved the message that Hazel was trying to convey and what her goals were and how driven she was and what she wanted to achieve, and she was so focused on that. That for me, that was what made this book a 5 star. It really solidified for me that what I need in a romance book is a personal journey, either a healing journey, a growth journey. I need my MCs to go on a journey, both of them, or at least just one of them, to be able to get a 5 star. On Cloud 9 by Kelsey Denise Stone. Unfortunately, I didn't get to reading it. I wanted to read this whole series and I just put it on the back burner. So I am going to include this in my next year's 5-star predictions because I didn't get to reading it. But next is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. My whole heart and soul belongs in this woman's books. She is prolific. There is nothing this woman cannot write. She is amazing. This book blew me away. It was a marriage reconciliation. They had something traumatic happen to them and they broke up, and then it's their journey back to each other. And there was this notion of romance and this sensual sexiness, and how important it is to love yourself before you can love someone else. And I loved the journey that these two went on. To me, it felt so real and authentic, and I loved it. I don't think this woman can write a bad book. I did have one dud, but I don't think I've ever, besides that one, I don't think I've ever rated one of her books poorly, and I don't think that I ever will. But I loved this book. It touched me in such a way that I will never forget. I did read the second book in this series, and I think that may be my favorite. It is even better. So if Before I Let Go can make me feel like that, and then another book just top that even more, it tells you everything you need to know about this author. And I think the thing that sets her apart from a lot of other authors, she doesn't shy away from the hard, difficult experiences and the challenges of human experiences. They feel raw, they feel authentic, they feel flawed, they feel messy. She nails that element of a romance book and human stories. And I love that she makes her women be so resilient and so strong, and it's so inspiring. I don't know, I can't explain it. You have to read her books to sort of really understand what she's trying to convey, but she just knows how to write a fantastic book. Next is Carnage by Chantal Tessier. Unfortunately, this did not get a 5 star. I thought that it would because I've given every other book she's ever written a 5 star, but this one felt messy. It was really, really long. I was very confused about what she was, where the plot was going. And I think that's the hard part about this series now, because it's so drawn out and so long. There's a lot of rehashing of elements without sort of rehashing it in a way that you lose track of what's happened in previous books, because there is long waits between books and they are so long. So there's a lot of information to remember and a lot of information to digest. So a lot of the plot gets lost and you get confused. Could I tell you what happened now? No. And I think that's not a great part of it. So 4 stars for that one, unfortunately. Next is my DNF, I Must Betray You, by Rudis Sapetes. Now, I fully thought this would be great. The premise sounded fantastic. Unfortunately, I think I've just aged out of YA, and I was not drawn into the romance, unfortunately. It just didn't grasp me. It didn't keep my attention. and I was like, I'm bored. So I ended up DNFing it, I think like 20% of the way through it. It just didn't, I don't think it's necessarily a bad book. I think if you still really like YA books, this is great. It didn't keep my attention. Next is The Plus Ones by Maisie Eddings. This got a 5-star. Again, this touches on human experiences, really emotional elements, and she really balanced emotional, heavy topics with really well-balanced, funny, comedic moments. I loved this. I couldn't put it down. I think I read it in a day because I was just so obsessed with them. I loved this story. This is a fake dating brother's best friend romance. He was her childhood enemy, but he's been like away for like 3 years now. He's back for her brother's wedding, and they decide to be each other's fake dates for her brother's wedding so that she can escape her freaking crazy ex and his new girlfriend. It was beautiful. And again, the sibling relationship in this is another element that I really, really enjoyed. And I had no third act breakups. That's even another win for me. Like the way that these two communicated. Chef's kiss. I adored this book so much. 5-star. Then we have A Long Time Coming by Megan Quinn. Now, this one did not get a 5 stars, unfortunately. It got a 4.5, so it was close. It just didn't quite hit that 5-star level for me. I really did enjoy this. This is a friends to lovers romance. I loved the way he stood up for her. I loved her journey. I loved the growth. But there was just something that was missing for me. I think the thing that put it down for me is that the lack of depth there was in this book. Now I know that's not really MQ's style, but after reading He's Not My Type, I expected just a little bit more depth, considering He's Not My Type is a hockey romance. I expected just a little bit more. And I wish that Leah stood up for herself a little bit earlier. Breaker can break my freaking back though. That dirty mouth, everything about him is chef's kiss. But I just needed a little bit more from Leah, and I needed a little bit more depth to give this 5 stars. That being said, this is not her newest release. I think she's sort of changed her style in the recent years. Unfortunately, it just wasn't a major win. Okay, editing Lauren here. I feel like I didn't articulate myself very well for 2 of those books, so I've cut that footage and we're gonna insert this footage a little bit later in the future, but it's fine. So The Vanishing Half didn't make the cut, unfortunately. It got a 3.5 star. It had great potential, and I really loved the messaging and the reasoning behind the book. Vanishing Half is a story of 2 sisters run away from their small town and sort of take on separate identities. One marries a black man and the other one marries a white man and sort of leans into her fairer skin looking like white passing life. And it's a story of like what happens to their lives after that point and before that point to sort of lead up to that. And then what happens when their 2 daughters meet like serendipitously out in the wild, and like how that all unfolds. It touches a lot on what racism looks like even within your own community, and like classism and what constitutes good black girl, bad black girl within your own community, and like not something that I ever expected to read about. But I felt like it got really lost because of the storytelling method. The timeline and the flashbacks and the jump forwards, like it just confused me, and I felt like that kind of writing style really impacted the way that the book was messaging. I feel like if it was told in like a more linear story, it would have probably gone better, but there was like a few different parts. We were in like one twin's POV with the current timeline, and then we had a flashback, and then we jumped forward to her daughter, and then it was the same thing reversed, and I was like, which person are we talking about? I kept getting confused. I just think The Vanishing Half could have been so much better, but it just fell a little bit flat, unfortunately. Then we have a photo finish. Now this is Violet Eaton's story. Now if you don't know anything about Elsie Silver's books, Violet Eaton is the sister from the Chestnut Springs series, like the most famous series of all time. This is the book about her sister. This is a second chance romance between Violet and Cole, and in this she decides she's gonna start doing like spicy photos online, so it's similar to like an OnlyFans thing, and she builds a connection with this one guy, and then all of a sudden he ghosts her after she sort of gives him what he wants, and then time goes by and she runs into him working at the ranch that she is employed at, and he is her boss's brother. So you can see how that is going to go. It definitely starts out with a lot of enemies to lovers vibes. They're definitely like angry at each other, but This is delicious. This obviously got a 5-star. I loved this with my whole chest. I love them so much. This is one that I could definitely like go back to like a million times over because it is just that good. I really love Violet's character. She's so spunky and fun, and I think she is great. I loved seeing Cole heal and grow from his trauma. This is the story that we should have gotten with Bo that we didn't get. Loved this so much. I think if you love Chestnut Springs, obviously you will love this. This is very much more horse focused, but it is still a great book, great time. I loved this series so much, but this, an easy 5-star. Probably my favorite of the bunch, and I love it forever. So that is another 5-star. Win for me. I'm happy with this. So of the 8 books that I read and the 7 books that I completed, I gave 5 of them 5 stars, which is a major win. That's like a 50% rate. I think I know what I like in a book now. I haven't picked what my predictions are for next year. You'll see that tomorrow. I think I know what my style is now, and I think that I can just pick books well now. I'm going to put Cloud 9 obviously on next year's list. I have a couple more in mind that I think I'm going to do, but I'll pick 10 books that I think will be 5 stars. I think I've had a win. I'm obsessed with all the books that I rate at 5 stars, and they will forever be favorites. Like if you're reflecting back and looking at it as a whole, I think I did pretty well picking 5 stars. Is there anything that you guys read this year that you thought would be a 5-star that wasn't? Is there a 5-star that surprised you this year? That I would love to know. But make sure you like and subscribe because there is still so many more days of Bookmas and so much more content coming your way. But I'll see you guys tomorrow for Bookmas Day 5, where we're talking about my 5-star predictions for 2025. So I'll see you then. Bye guys.